Alright, so we're working in section 6.1 of Intermediate Algebra and Concepts and Applications by Johnson, a college algebra textbook. We're doing some rational expressions today, simplifying and finding domain restrictions. Sometimes that's called excluded values. Start with problem 33. And they give you this rational expression. This is an expression because there's no equal sign, and it's rational because it's a ratio, rational ratio. Okay? So, every time you look at these, you got to say, we got to factor first. And you got to see this is 2 terms, and this is 3 terms, and you cannot cancel the t squared, you can't cancel the 16s, you have to factor first. At this point, hopefully, you could look at t squared minus 16 and say, yeah, that's t minus 4, t plus 4. And on the bottom, you look, and it's t minus 4, t minus 4. And you notice I didn't cancel anything out at this point. All right, I'm getting some bleed through, so let's move those other ones. All right. At this point, you've got to figure out the domain restrictions. And when I look here, what makes the bottom 0? T can't be 4, t can't be 4. Now, we don't write the repeat. But it was t squared, and there were 2 values, both 4. Now we look at what's the same factor, because junk times junk, junk times junk. And my answer is t plus 4 over t minus 4, and t cannot equal 4. And there's the answer to the first one. Number 41 was the next one we did. And this one's a little harder, but again, you'll see the bottom was the same as the previous problem, and we're going to factor that. But the top's out of order, and I always tell students, don't try to skip too many steps. Put it in order first, which is negative t squared plus 16. And then always make the lead term positive. So I pull out the negative, and when you factor a negative out both terms, you get t squared minus 16. Everybody, deja vu, this is exactly like the last problem now, except the sign. So, let's factor it. Boom. And again, since it's like the last problem, we'll finish it up from here. T cannot be 4. We decide that first. 4 and 4, but I won't write it twice. I'll cancel these. And I'll have negative t plus 4 over t minus 4. Some books will distribute the negative back in. I will not. It's possible that this could be written as negative t minus 4. All right, and we're done. The next one is problem 47. And it says multiply and simplify. And again, I'll do excluded values here or domain restrictions because I think it's important on this. So, first thing is the factor, and you got to see that this is 2 terms. It has to be factored. This is factor, so it's done. This needs to be factored. This needs to be factored. And I do it all pretty quickly because I expect that difference of 2 squares, y minus 3, y plus 3, factor the y in this. And now, before we take the next step, we do our excluded values. Can't be 0 and 0. I'll write it twice, but realize we only need 1. Can't be 3 or negative 2 because you cannot let the bottom be 0. And now what can we do? Well, we can cancel the easy things. Those 2 are easy, so we'll cancel those, and then I rewrote it. Now I'll look at what's left and say, oh, wait a minute. Now this is really 1 term, right? I'll make that a line, not a dot. Now I can cancel the y's. And I guess I rewrote it here again, and I can cancel the y's. And now we have the answer with y cannot be negative 2, 0, 3. Couple more. Next one is 55. And again, simplify. I won't find, it didn't ask for us to find the excluded values or domain restrictions because A and B, you know, but we could have. But first of all, you have to see this as a cubic and you have to know those rules. You can look those up online. There are 2 rules for, well, and I suppose I can write those here. There's rules for, all right, there's rules for that, and there's that rule. So you see a cubed minus b cubed, and we should be able to write it as a minus b times a squared plus ab plus b squared. We look at the bottom here. This one's harder, so the first thing I notice is that there was a 3 common. So I'll pull out the 3 and write it. A squared plus 2ab plus b squared is a plus b times a plus b. Now, a lot of teachers are going to write this in class as a plus b squared. I like to write them both out. And the bottom's a plus b times a minus b. Now, before I cancel, I'm going to finish factoring this, all right? And this is tough. And what you have to see is you're looking at the bookends, a times a and b times 2b. And when you do that, you get a plus b and a plus 2b. Now everything's here. It's all factors. 1, 2, 3, 4 factors on top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 factors on the bottom. So what's the same? Well, a plus b's are the same. A minus b's are the same. A plus b is the same. Leaving the trinomial that can't be factored anymore, the 3 and the a plus 2b. I suppose if you come back up here, you could work on domains like a could not equal negative b, a and b couldn't, but we're not going to do that. And usually in college algebra classes, they don't ask you to do that. Last one today, 63. I was working with a student when I was doing these problems, and she did a nice job with this. And it starts here as a division problem. And the first thing she did when she read the problem to me is she actually knew that when you're dividing fractions, you are multiplying by the reciprocal. So she did that first, and I think that's fine. So we did that. Next thing is the factor. So 5's common here, pull it out. I wrote 15 as 3 times 5, and y cubed is y. Pull out the 3. 3 times x plus y. Little mistake, just crossed it out. And finally, x squared minus y squared is x plus y and x minus y. Again, right away I see that these two cancel. And right away I see these cancel and these cancel. So I write y minus x, y, and x minus y. Now this is where it gets a little tough. You have to see these are kind of the same. Okay? So the first thing I'll do is say, hey, I'll keep them alphabetical. I want that x to be first. So I rewrite it with the x first, negative x plus y. And at this point you say, hey, I always want the lead term to be positive. Pull out the negative. And you got negative x minus y, and maybe I'll write a 1 here so we see it. The x minus y is canceled. And that is your answer. Keep practicing. Again, this is college algebra.